5 years ago, I was a cocktail waitress in a nightclub where men like him came to forget their sins. I never imagined that one night, one reckless, breathless night with a stranger who smelled like expensive whiskey and danger, would bind me to him forever. I kept my daughter a secret. I built a quiet life far from that world. But last Tuesday, in the frozen food aisle of a shopping mall, my 4-year-old slipped her hand from mine, walked up to the tall, tattooed man buying bottled water, and said, "I'm your little girl." When his dark eyes found mine across that mundane space, I saw recognition ignite like a match to gasoline. He remembered every single detail. You will feel so many emotions in this mysterious love story I'm about to tell. Please support us by clicking subscribe to the channel. The morning started ordinary. That's what kills me now, how perfectly normal it all was. Emma's small hand in mine, sticky from the granola bar she'd demolished in the car. Her voice chattering about strawberry ice cream, about the pink sprinkles she wanted on top, about whether unicorns liked ice cream too. The fluorescent lights of Riverside Mall buzzed overhead, that particular hum that sounds like boredom and routine and safety. I was tired. The kind of exhaustion that lives in your bones when you've worked 2 jobs for 5 years straight. When you've answered your daughter's endless questions about her father with carefully constructed half-truths. Where is Daddy? He had to go away, sweetheart. Does he love me? Of course he does. Will he come back? I don't know. I never told her the truth. That her father was a man I'd met once, for one impossible night. That I'd felt his hands on my skin in the VIP room of the Velvet Rose, where champagne cost more than my weekly rent, and men wore violence like cologne. That he'd looked at me like I was something precious and dangerous all at once, before disappearing into whatever darkness he'd come from. Marco Valentino. I'd learned his name from the news. Seen his face in papers I bought but shouldn't have. Watched his world from a distance safe enough that I could pretend we'd never collided. Then I saw him. Standing by the bottled water display like he belonged in this suburban nightmare of discount shopping and screaming children. Tall. God, I'd forgotten how tall. Broad shoulders under a black jacket that probably cost more than my car. Tattoos crawling up his neck, intricate and beautiful and violent. Dark hair pushed back from a face that belonged in Renaissance paintings. All sharp angles and shadows. My body remembered before my brain caught up. The way my breath stuttered. The heat that spread through my chest. The terrible, treacherous want. I started backing away, pulling Emma with me, planning our escape like I'd been planning it for 5 years, quickly, quietly, invisibly. But Emma, my beautiful, fearless, impossible daughter, she looked up at me with those dark eyes, his eyes, though I'd never admitted it out loud, and said, "Mommy, that man looks sad." Children see things adults have learned to ignore, some kind of emotional sonar that picks up frequencies we've trained ourselves to miss. And Emma, my empathetic girl who cried when other kids fell down, who brought home injured beetles to nurse back to health. She saw something in Marco Valentino that I couldn't afford to see. She slipped her hand from mine. Emma, no. But she was already walking toward him. 4 years old, wearing her favorite purple dress with the twirly skirt, light-up sneakers flashing with each step, moving toward the most dangerous man I'd ever met like he was just another sad stranger who needed her sunshine. I froze. Should have grabbed her. Should have run. Should have done anything except stand there watching my past and present collide in the produce section of a suburban shopping mall. Emma stopped in front of him, tilted her head back to look up at this mountain of a man who could kill with his hands, who commanded empires built on fear, and said, clear as a bell, "I'm your little girl." The world stopped. Just stopped. Like someone had hit pause on reality itself. The bottled water in Marco's hand slipped, caught at the last second by reflexes honed by whatever violence he trafficked in. His face went blank. Not confused, not shocked, just blank. The kind of blank that meant everything happening behind his eyes was too big for his face to process. Then he looked up, found me standing 10 feet away, my heart trying to claw its way out of my chest. I watched it happen in real time. The recognition, memory flooding back through 5 years of distance. His jaw tightened. Something flickered in his eyes. Surprise, maybe, or calculation. Or something I couldn't name because I'd only known him for one night, and one night isn't enough to learn a man's entire emotional vocabulary. He took a step toward me, then another, moving with that particular grace dangerous men have, like violence and control had been choreographed into his bones. Emma stood between us, oblivious to the earthquake she'd just triggered, humming to herself, examining the bottles of water like they were fascinating artifacts. Leah, my name in his mouth. Not a question, a statement. Like he'd been saying it in his head for 5 years and finally had permission to speak it out loud. I couldn't breathe, couldn't think, could only stare at this man who'd given me the best night of my life and the greatest complication, who disappeared like smoke and now stood in front of me smelling like cedar and memory and everything I'd tried to forget. His voice was deeper than I remembered, rougher, like gravel wrapped in expensive silk. You kept her. Not an accusation, just observation. But I heard all the questions underneath. Why didn't you tell me? How long have you known? Is she really mine? I didn't know how to find you, I said. Which was a lie. I'd known exactly how to find him. I'd chosen not to. Emma tugged on my sleeve. Mommy, can he come for ice cream with us? Marco's eyes stayed locked on mine, dark and infinite, and full of things I couldn't read. Then he did something that made my blood run cold and hot all at once. He smiled, not a kind smile, not a gentle smile. A smile that said he'd just found something valuable he didn't know he'd lost. A smile that promised consequences I couldn't begin to imagine. He crouched down to Emma's level, his massive frame somehow gentle as he looked at her, really looked at her, taking inventory of features. Her dark hair, his eyes, my chin, his intensity, my stubbornness written in the set of her small jaw. What's your name, sweetheart? Emma Rose Morrison. I'm 4 3/4. Do you like unicorns? I've never met one, he said seriously. But I'd like to. Emma giggled. Mommy says you have to believe in them for them to be real. Your mommy's right about a lot of things. His hand lifted, hesitated, then touched Emma's cheek with one tattooed finger. So gentle it hurt to watch. This man whose hands had probably broken bones, now holding all that violence back to touch my daughter like she was made of glass. When he stood, his eyes found mine again, and something in his face had changed, softened and hardened all at once. From now on, he said quietly, his voice carrying weight like a promise or a threat, no one touches either of you. 24 hours. That's all it took for Marco Valentino to dismantle the life I'd spent 5 years building. I woke up Wednesday morning to the sound of a car engine idling outside my apartment. Not just any car, a black SUV with windows tinted so dark they looked like portals to another dimension. The kind of vehicle that screamed money and menace in equal measure. Emma pressed her face to the living room window, breath fogging the glass. Mommy, there's a really big car outside. My stomach dropped. I pulled her away from the window gently, my hands trembling as I checked the locks I'd already checked 3 times during the night. The deadbolt, the chain, the security bar I'd installed myself after watching a YouTube tutorial at 2 in the morning while Emma slept. None of it mattered. Marco had found where we lived. Of course he had. The knock came at 7:15. 3 measured raps that somehow communicated both patience and inevitability. I opened the door with the chain still attached. A man stood in the hallway, middle-aged, compact build, wearing a suit that fit too well to be anything but custom. His face had the worn quality of someone who'd seen things, done things, survived things. Miss Morrison. My name is Leo Castellano. Mr. Valentino has asked me to provide transportation and security for you and your daughter. I didn't ask for security. No, ma'am. But you have it anyway. His voice was respectful but immovable, like arguing with gravity. I don't need, with respect, Miss Morrison, what you need and what you have are 2 different things now. Mr. Valentino would like to discuss the situation this evening. Until then, I'll be outside if you need anything. He handed me a card through the gap in the door. Heavy stock, embossed lettering, a phone number, nothing else. Emma tugged on my shirt. Is that man our friend? I don't know yet, baby, but I did know. I knew exactly what this was. Marco staking his claim, inserting himself into our lives like he had every right, like 5 years of absence could be erased by one encounter in a shopping mall. I called in sick to both my jobs. the diner where I worked breakfast shifts, the cleaning company where I scrubbed office buildings until midnight. I told them it was a family emergency, which felt like the truest lie I'd ever spoken. Leo stayed outside all day. I watched him through the window. He didn't move much, didn't use his phone, just sat there like a statue with a shoulder holster, radiating the kind of presence that made my neighbors cross the street. Emma thought it was exciting. She drew him a picture, a stick figure man next to a stick figure car next to a smiling sun. When I wouldn't let her take it outside to him, she taped it to the window instead. I watched Leo's face crack into something almost like a smile. Marco arrived at 6. I knew it was him before I saw him, heard the change in Leo's posture, the way he straightened and opened the back door of a different car. This one wasn't an SUV. This was something low and sleek and probably Italian, the kind of car that cost more than I'd make in 5 years. Marco stepped out wearing a 3-piece suit that transformed him from dangerous to devastating. Hair swept back, jaw sharp enough to cut, moving toward my building like he owned it, like he owned the whole damn neighborhood. I met him at the door, didn't invite him in. Stood in the frame like I could physically block his world from invading the small, safe space I'd created for Emma. He stopped on the threshold, close enough that I could smell his cologne, something dark and woody that made my traitorous body remember things it shouldn't. Leah, you can't just show up here. You can't just put armed men outside my home. I can. I did. The bluntness should have made me angry. Instead, it made me tired. 5 years of running, of hiding, of pretending I could build a life immune to men like him, all of it crumbling in less than a day. Emma's watching TV, I said quietly. She doesn't need to hear this. He glanced past me into the apartment. I saw him taking inventory. The secondhand furniture, the toy box overflowing in the corner, the stack of bills on the kitchen counter I'd been staring at all week, trying to figure out which ones to pay first. His jaw tightened. Something flickered in his eyes that looked almost like anger, but I couldn't tell if it was directed at me or himself. I brought some things, he said. His driver appeared behind him carrying a leather folder thick with documents. Marco took it, opened it, showed me the contents. School enrollment papers for Riverside Academy. The private school with the waiting list 2 years long, the one with the campus that looked like a college and tuition that made my eyes water. A lease agreement for a 3-bedroom townhouse in Meadowbrook Heights. The neighborhood where people had security systems and landscapers and cars that cost more than my annual income. Bank statements showing a checking account in my name with a balance that had so many zeros I had to count them twice. No. The word came out harder than I intended. Leah. No, I don't want your money. I don't want your houses, or your schools, or your armed guards standing outside like I'm some kind of prisoner. You're not a prisoner. You're protected. What's the difference? His eyes flashed. The difference is that prisoners can't leave and you can walk away right now if you want. But you won't, because you're smart enough to know what's at stake. Don't tell me what I know? Then let me tell you what I know. Marco's voice dropped, became something cold and precise. You kept my daughter hidden for 5 years. You worked yourself to exhaustion trying to provide for her alone. You live in a building where the locks don't work and the smoke detectors are broken. Emma goes to a daycare with a lawsuit pending for inadequate supervision. You're drowning, Leah, and you're too proud to ask for help. Each word landed like a punch, because he was right about all of it. This isn't about what you want, he continued, his voice softening slightly. It's about what she needs. Emma deserves better than this. Better than working yourself to death while she grows up in a place that isn't safe. It's safe enough, is it? The question hung between us, heavy, loaded with implications I didn't want to examine. I built this life, I said. My voice cracked despite my best efforts. I did it alone. I don't need you to swoop in and fix everything just because you suddenly decided to be a father. Something in his face shifted. Not anger, something deeper. Hurt, maybe, though that seemed impossible for a man like him. I didn't decide to be a father, Leah. I am one. I have been for 4 years without knowing it. You made that choice for both of us. The accusation stung because it was true. I had chosen to keep Emma a secret, to raise her alone, to build a life that didn't include the chaos of Marco's world. I was protecting her. From what? Her own father? From men who would use her to hurt you. From a life where people get killed for leverage. From exactly what's happening right now. The words exploded out of me. 5 years of fear and justification and sleepless nights wondering if I'd made the right choice. Marco stepped closer. Not threatening. Just close enough that I had to tilt my head back to meet his eyes. You think I don't know about protection? About keeping people safe from my world? I've spent 15 years building walls between my business and the people I care about. I'm good at it, Leah. Better than you could be alone. I don't want to be one of your business arrangements. That's not what this is? Then what is it? He opened his mouth, closed it. For the first time since showing up at my door, Marco Valentino looked uncertain. Before he could answer, my phone buzzed. Unknown number. I almost didn't look at it. Almost. The screen showed a photo. Emma leaving daycare that afternoon. Her face circled in red marker. No message, just that image, clinical and threatening in its simplicity. My hands started shaking so badly I almost dropped the phone. Marco took it from me gently, looked at the screen. His face went completely still, not angry, not shocked, just utterly, terrifyingly blank. When did this come? Just now. Who would, but I knew. We both knew. You see now? His voice was quiet, controlled, the kind of control that suggested violence being held back by sheer force of will. You were chosen as a message. The moment Emma spoke to me in that mall, every person who wants to hurt me learned I have a weakness. He didn't say the words out loud. Didn't have to. Emma and I were targets now. Had been targets the second she said, "I'm your little girl," loud enough for the wrong people to hear. I need to call the police. The police can't help you. Not with this. Then what am I supposed to do? Marco's hand covered mine on the phone. Warm, steady, completely at odds with the fury I could see building behind his eyes. You pack a bag. You bring Emma. You let me protect you both until I eliminate the threat. Eliminate? You mean kill? I mean handle. How I handle it isn't your concern? The hell it isn't. You're talking about my daughter's safety. Our daughter. And yes, I'm talking about keeping her alive, which means you need to decide right now. Leah. Pride or Emma, independence or safety, you can't have both. I wanted to argue. Wanted to tell him there was another way, a better way, a way that didn't involve surrender. But I'd seen that photo, seen the message in its brutal simplicity. They knew where Emma was, they knew her routine, they could take her anytime they wanted. That night I packed our things with trembling hands, 2 suitcases of clothes, Emma's favorite stuffed animals, the photo album I'd been making for her since birth, full of pictures of us two, just us two, like her father didn't exist. Leo carried our bags to the car. Emma sat in her car seat, half asleep, asking drowsy questions about where we were going, why we were leaving, if we were coming back. It's an adventure, baby. We're staying somewhere new for a little while, like a vacation, something like that. Marco sat in the front passenger seat. I could see the tension in his shoulders, the way his jaw worked like he was grinding his teeth. His phone kept buzzing. He kept ignoring it, until it rang. He answered, listened. His face went from tense to carved from stone. When? A pause. How many saw it? Another pause. Find them. All of them. He hung up, turned slightly in his seat to look at me. What? I asked, though I wasn't sure I wanted to know. He turned his phone toward me. The message was simple, typed in plain text from an unknown number. You were chosen as a message. The townhouse was beautiful. That was the first problem. Hardwood floors that gleamed under recessed lighting, kitchen with marble countertops and appliances I'd only seen in magazines, windows that looked out over a neighborhood where people jogged at dawn and had book clubs and knew their neighbors' names. Emma ran through the rooms like it was Disneyland, her light-up shoes flashing against the expensive floors. Mommy, I have my own bathroom, with a tub shaped like a seashell. I stood in the foyer holding our 2 battered suitcases, feeling like an imposter. Like someone would realize I didn't belong here and escort me back to my apartment with the broken locks and the radiator that clanked all night. A woman appeared from the kitchen. 50s, maybe. Silver hair pulled back in a neat bun, kind eyes that had seen things. I recognized that look because I saw it in my own mirror. Ms. Morrison. I'm Rosa. I'll be staying in the guest suite downstairs. Staying? Rosa's smile was patient. Mr. Valentino was very clear about security protocols. Someone needs to be here when he can't be. I looked at Marco. He stood by the window, phone pressed to his ear, speaking rapid Italian. His free hand gestured sharply, punctuating whatever orders he was giving. She has a gun, doesn't she? Rosa didn't insult me by lying. Yes, ma'am. But I'm also an excellent cook, and I have 3 grandchildren Emma's age. I know every episode of Bluey by heart. Despite everything, I almost laughed. Almost. Emma appeared at the top of the stairs. Mommy, can Rosa make us pancakes? She said she knows how to make them into shapes. Tomorrow, sweet girl. Tonight you need sleep. But Emma's internal clock was broken by adrenaline and change. She bounced instead of settling, asked 1,000 questions about the new house, about Rosa, about why that man Marco kept looking at us like we were something precious and fragile all at once. I got her into pajamas, read 3 books instead of 1, sang the lullaby my mother used to sing to me, before my father's gambling destroyed our family, before I learned that love could be a weapon people used to hurt you. When Emma finally fell asleep, I found Marco in the kitchen. He'd shed his jacket, rolled his shirt sleeves to his elbows, revealing more of the ink that covered his forearms. Intricate designs I couldn't fully decipher in the low light. Thank you, I said. The words felt insufficient. For the house. For Rosa. For not making me feel like a prisoner, even though that's essentially what I was. Don't thank me yet. Something in his voice made my stomach clench. What does that mean? He poured 2 glasses of whiskey, slid one across the counter to me. I didn't drink it. It means you need to understand what you're in, what Emma's in. Then tell me. Marco's jaw worked. He looked at me like he was calculating how much truth I could handle, how much would break me versus make me stronger. Get in the car. What? Now. Emma's asleep. Rosa's here. We won't be long. Where are we going? Somewhere you need to see. The drive took 30 minutes. We left the neighborhood of townhouses in safety, drove through downtown where lights blazed and people laughed on restaurant patios, kept going until the city gave way to industrial sprawl, warehouses hunched against the night sky like sleeping beasts. Marco's phone rang twice. He answered in Italian both times, his voice clipped and cold. We stopped at a warehouse that looked abandoned. Broken windows, graffiti on the walls. The kind of place where bad things happened and nobody asked questions. Leo was waiting by the door. He nodded at Marco. Didn't look at me. Stay close, Marco said. I followed him inside. The warehouse smelled like oil and rust and something underneath that made my stomach turn. Fear, maybe, or blood. Hard to tell the difference in places like this. 3 men sat in chairs, hands zip-tied behind their backs, faces already swelling from interrogation. Marco's men stood in the shadows, silent, watching, radiating controlled violence. I stopped walking. My body knew before my brain did that I didn't want to be here, didn't want to see whatever came next. Marco turned to me. His face in the dim light looked carved from stone. These are the ones who sent the photo. They work for someone bigger, someone who wants to use you and Emma to draw me out. One of the men spat blood on the concrete floor, looked at me with hatred that felt personal even though we'd never met. She's just a whore from a nightclub. The kid's probably not even yours. Marco moved so fast I didn't see it. One moment standing beside me, the next his hand wrapped around the man's throat. The violence was surgical, controlled. More terrifying than rage because it spoke of practice, of precision, of a man who knew exactly how much pressure to apply to hurt without killing. Her name is Leah, Marco said softly. The girl's name is Emma. You will remember that. The man gasped, choked. His face went red, then purple. Marco released him, stepped back, adjusted his cuffs like nothing had happened. Who sent you? The man coughed. Blood sprayed from his lips. Go to hell! Marco pulled a phone from his pocket, showed the man the screen. I couldn't see what it displayed, but I watched the color drain from the man's face. That's your daughter, Marco said conversationally. Julia, age 6, goes to St. Benedict's Elementary. Lives with your ex-wife on Maple Street. Nice neighborhood. Good school district. I wouldn't. But the person you work for, he would, in a heartbeat. So I'll ask again, Who sent you? The name came out like a prayer, or a curse. Vincent Russo. I felt the name land in my chest like a physical blow. Vincent, the man my father had owed money to. The man who'd looked at 15-year-old me like I was collateral. The man I'd spent 5 years running from. Marco's face didn't change, but something in his posture shifted, became more dangerous. Take them to the safe house on 4th, he told his men. Keep them comfortable. They're witnesses now, not threats. Outside, sitting in Marco's car, I couldn't stop shaking. You knew, I said. You knew it was Vincent before they said his name. I suspected. Why didn't you tell me? Because I needed to be sure. And because... He paused, choosing words carefully. Because Vincent Russo isn't just my enemy. Leah, he's yours too. Has been for a long time. The pieces clicked into horrible place. Vincent tracking me for years. Waiting for the right leverage. Finding it the moment Emma spoke to Marco in that mall. He's using me to get to you. Or using me to get to you. Either way, we're all targets now. Marco handed me a thick envelope. Inside were surveillance photos I'd never known existed. Vincent's men watching my apartment. Following me to work. Photographing Emma at daycare. He knew about Emma before I did. I whispered. Yes. That's why she wasn't safe. Even when you didn't know she existed. Marco's hand covered mine on the envelope. This is my world. Power bought with violence. Respect built on fear. I didn't want you here. But here you are. For the first time, I saw past the suits and the tattoos and the controlled danger. Saw exhaustion in the lines around his eyes. Loneliness in the set of his shoulders. A man who'd chosen this life and couldn't escape it even if he wanted to. I'm not asking you to forgive me for what you saw tonight. I'm asking you to trust that I'm the only thing standing between Emma and them. His hand was warm on mine. Steady. Human. I wanted to pull away. Wanted to maintain the distance that had kept me safe for 5 years. Instead, I held on. We drove back to the townhouse in silence. Emma was still asleep, Rosa reading a book in the living room. Everything looked peaceful, normal. But my phone buzzed as we pulled into the driveway. New message, unknown number. Marco saw my face, took the phone. The photo showed Emma's new school, taken that afternoon during our drive over, the building circled in red, and written across the image in digital letters. We know where the little one lives now. I didn't sleep that night, just lay in the guest bedroom, my bedroom now, I supposed, staring at the ceiling while my mind replayed everything. The warehouse, the men with zip-tied hands, Marco's controlled violence, the way he'd said Emma's name like it was something holy. The photo of her school burned behind my eyelids every time I closed them. Dawn came gray and cold. I heard Emma wake up. Heard Rosa's gentle voice coaxing her downstairs with promises of pancakes shaped like butterflies. Heard my daughter's laughter, bright and uncomplicated, unaware that her world had shifted on its axis. I found Marco in what I assumed was his office, a converted bedroom on the 2nd floor overlooking the street. He sat behind a desk made of dark wood and glass, laptop open, phone pressed to his ear. He'd been there all night. I could tell by the coffee cups lined up like soldiers, the tie loosened at his throat, the shadow of stubble along his jaw. He saw me in the doorway, ended the call without saying goodbye. We need to talk, I said. Yes, we do. The agreement surprised me. I'd expected resistance. Instead, he gestured to the chair across from his desk like we were about to have a business meeting. Maybe we were. I closed the door, sat, folded my hands in my lap to keep them from shaking. You can't keep doing this. Doing what? Making decisions for us, moving us around like chess pieces. Emma asked me last night why the nice lady with the gun sleeps in our guest room. Something flickered in his eyes. Guilt, maybe. Or frustration that I was making this harder than it needed to be. What did you tell her? That Rosa's our friend. That she's staying for a little while. But Emma's smart, Marco. She's going to start asking questions I don't know how to answer. He stood, walked to the window. Dawn light cut across his face, highlighting the exhaustion etched into every line. Then what do you suggest, Leah? I let you walk away? Pretend my daughter doesn't exist? Wait for them to take her to hurt me? The word, daughter, hung between us. He'd said it before, but this time felt different, weighted with something that sounded almost like wonder. I'm not suggesting we walk away. I'm saying if we're doing this, if we're letting you into our lives, there have to be boundaries. He turned, studied me with an intensity that made me want to look away. Boundaries. Rules. Whatever you want to call them. Things we agree on. Together. I watched him process this, saw the moment he understood I wasn't asking for permission to leave. I was asking to stay, but on different terms. Okay, he said finally. 3 rules. Mine first. He moved back to the desk but didn't sit. Stood there with his hands braced on the glass surface, counting on his fingers like he'd been thinking about this all night. 1. You tell me everything. Every strange car, every weird phone call, every gut feeling that something's wrong. I don't care if it seems paranoid or stupid. You tell me. I nodded. That seemed reasonable. 2. Emma doesn't leave your sight or Rosa's sight. Ever. Not for school, not for playdates, not for anything until we eliminate the threat. My chest tightened. How long will that take? As long as it takes. That's not an answer. It's the only answer I have. I wanted to argue, wanted to demand a timeline, a plan, some guarantee that this wouldn't become our permanent reality. But I'd seen enough in the past 48 hours to know that certainty was a luxury we couldn't afford. Fine. What's the 3rd rule? Marco's eyes held mine. You stay in the townhouse. You don't go back to your apartment. You don't go to work. You don't take unnecessary risks. I know that feels like a cage, but it's the safest place for you right now. The words landed heavy. Because he was right, it did feel like a cage, a beautiful, comfortable, well-appointed cage, but a cage nonetheless. My rule, I said, lifting my chin. You don't lie to me. I haven't lied to you. You haven't told me everything either. There's a difference. He went still. That particular stillness that meant I'd touched something true. You want to know about my business, about Vincent, about what I do. I want to know what Emma's father does, what kind of man he is, what world we're stepping into. She deserves a father who tells the truth, even when it's ugly. Something shifted in his face, softened and hardened all at once, like I'd said something that cut through his defenses and fortified them simultaneously. You want truth? He moved around the desk, stopping close enough that I could smell coffee and exhaustion, and that cedar cologne that made my body remember things it shouldn't. Here it is. I've thought about you every day for 5 years. The confession hit me like a physical blow. Marco, that night at the Velvet Rose, I knew I should forget you. You were too real. Too good for what I am. But I couldn't. I tried. Dated other women. Told myself it was just one night. But then I'd see someone with your smile or hear someone laugh like you did. And I'd be right back there, remembering. His hand lifted, hovered near my face without touching, like he was afraid I'd disappear if he made contact. And now you've given me something I never expected. A reason to want to be better. The air between us crackled with everything we weren't saying. 5 years of distance collapsed into inches. I could feel the heat of him, the pull of whatever had drawn us together that first night. Then Emma's voice drifted up from downstairs. Mommy, Rosa says we can make cookies. The moment shattered. Marco stepped back. I exhaled a breath I hadn't realized I was holding. I should go help her. Leah, wait. I paused at the door. I meant what I said. No lies. You want to know something? Ask. I'll tell you the truth even when it's ugly. I nodded. Didn't trust my voice to say anything that wouldn't betray how much his confession had affected me. That night, for the first time since moving into the townhouse, I fell asleep without checking the locks 3 times, without running through escape plans in my head, without lying awake cataloging everything that could go wrong. Some part of me had started to trust him, and that terrified me more than any threat. I woke to sunlight streaming through unfamiliar windows and the smell of coffee drifting from downstairs. For a moment, one perfect, disorienting moment, I forgot where I was, forgot about Vincent and warehouses and photos circled in red. Then I heard the knock at the front door, heard Marco's voice, sharp and tense, heard Leo respond with something I couldn't make out. I pulled on a robe and went downstairs. Marco stood in the foyer holding a manila envelope. His face had gone pale beneath the olive of his skin. "What is it?" He didn't answer, just handed me the envelope. Inside was a single photograph, old, grainy, showing a younger me leaving the Velvet Rose, pulling my jacket tight against winter cold. I flipped it over. Written on the back in elegant script. "We know her real name. We know where she came from. Does she know yours?" The name on that photograph belonged to a version of myself I'd spent 5 years trying to bury. Leah Morrison, daughter of Richard Morrison, city councilman turned degenerate gambler. The girl who'd been collateral before she understood what the word meant. Marco sat across from me at the kitchen table, the photograph between us like evidence at a trial. Emma was upstairs with Rosa, their laughter drifting down, a sound so innocent it made my chest ache. "Tell me," he said. "Not a demand, a request." But I heard the weight behind it, the need to understand what he was protecting us from. So I told him. I told him about my father's poker games that stretched until dawn, about creditors appearing at our door with smiles that promised violence, about the night Vincent Russo came to our house for dinner. I was 15, wearing a dress my mother had chosen, told to be polite, to smile, to pour wine for the men who owned my father's debts. About how Vincent had looked at me, not the way men looked at teenage girls they found pretty, the way men looked at things they intended to own. He told my father I could work off the debt, I said. My voice sounded detached, clinical, like I was describing something that happened to someone else. Said I was beautiful enough to waitress at one of his clubs. That tips would be generous if I was friendly. Marco's jaw clenched so tight I could see the muscle jump. My mother locked herself in the bathroom and cried. My father shook Vincent's hand. Jesus Christ, Leah. I ran that night. Took everything I could carry. Had a friend in another city. Stayed on her couch until I could afford a place. Changed my name, not legally. Just stopped using Morrison. Started using my mother's maiden name instead. The words kept coming now. 5 years of silence breaking open. The Velvet Rose was supposed to be safe. Far enough from Vincent's territory that I thought he'd never find me. I worked hard, kept my head down. Made enough to send money to my younger brother, Danny. He was still stuck with our parents, still living in that house. And then I walked in, Marco said quietly. And then you walked in. I met his eyes, saw him remembering, that night in the VIP room, the way we'd talked first, really talked, about nothing important and everything that mattered. How he'd made me laugh, made me feel like Leah the person, not Leah the waitress with the fake smile and the survival instincts. I knew who you were, I admitted, recognized you from the news. Marco Valentino, the youngest underboss in the Valentino family. Dangerous, connected, exactly the kind of man I should have avoided. But you didn't avoid me. No, I didn't. Because for one night, I'd wanted to feel something other than fear. Wanted to be reckless. Wanted to pretend I was someone who could spend an evening with a beautiful, dangerous man and walk away unscathed. Except I hadn't walked away unscathed. I'd walked away pregnant. Vincent Russo, Marco repeated. His voice had gone cold. Calculated. He's the one behind this. The name detonated like a bomb in the quiet kitchen. He's your rival, I said. I've seen the news. The Russo family and the Valentino family have been at war for 2 generations. Yes, so he's using me to get to you. Or using me to get to you. Marco pulled out his phone. Showed me surveillance photos I'd never known existed. Vincent's men watching my apartment. Following me to work. Photographing Emma at daycare. All of it dated weeks, months ago, before the mall, before Emma spoke to him. He knew about Emma before you did, I whispered. The realization made me want to vomit. That's why she wasn't safe, even when you didn't know she existed. Vincent was watching, waiting for the right moment to use her. Marco's hand covered mine on the table. He's been planning this for a long time, probably since the day you ran from him. Men like Vincent don't forget perceived slights. And you embarrassed him, Leah, refused what he offered. Escaped. I was 15. I know. Which makes him exactly the kind of monster I thought he was. I thought about my brother, Danny, 23 now, working construction, living in a studio apartment on the east side. He'd distanced himself from our parents years ago. Built his own life. We talked once a month. careful conversations that skirted around our shared history. Danny, I said suddenly. If Vincent knows about Emma, he knows about Danny. Marco was already dialing. Spoke rapidly in Italian to whoever answered. Gave orders I couldn't follow but understood the urgency of, "My men are on their way to his apartment now. Thank you." But the gratitude felt hollow. Because I'd done this. Brought danger to everyone I loved by existing, by running, by having the audacity to build a life outside Vincent's control. 2 hours later, Marco's phone rang. He listened. His face went carefully blank. "Put it on speaker," I said. He hesitated, then complied. Leo's voice crackled through. "Boss, we got to Morrison's apartment. Door was already broken. Place was tossed. No sign of him. But what? There's a message spray-painted on the bedroom wall. Says, 'Tell your sister we're coming.'" The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table to keep from falling. "Find him," Marco said. "Every contact, every friend, every place he might go. Find him now." He ended the call. Looked at me with something that might have been pity or understanding or both. "I tried to keep Danny separate," I said. My voice broke. "Safe, away from all of this. I know. I ruin everything I touch." Marco moved around the table, pulled me up, wrapped his arms around me before I could protest. His chest was solid, warm, real. And for the first time since that photograph arrived, I let myself fall apart. "You didn't ruin anything," he said into my hair. "You survived. There's a difference." I cried against his shoulder. For Danny, for Emma, for the girl I'd been at 15 who thought running would be enough to escape monsters. For the woman I'd become who'd learned that monsters always found you eventually. When I finally pulled back, Marco's shirt was damp with my tears. His hands stayed on my shoulders, steady and grounding. "We'll find your brother. We'll keep him safe. You can't promise that. Watch me." My phone buzzed. Unknown number. My whole body went cold. Marco took it, opened the message. His face went from concern to furious in the space of a heartbeat. He turned the screen toward me. A video. Grainy footage from 5 years ago. The VIP room at the Velvet Rose. Me laughing at something Marco said. Us leaving together. His hand at the small of my back. And then Vincent Russo's voice. Smooth as poison over the video. "Everyone you love is collateral now. Leah. Starting with the boy who looks just like you." Marco moved like a force of nature after that video arrived. Precise. Relentless. Beautiful in the way storms are beautiful. Powerful and terrifying and impossible to stop. Within 12 hours, Danny was in a safe house across the city. Marco's men had found him at a bar 3 blocks from his destroyed apartment, unaware that his world had just been painted with a target. I spoke to him on a secured line, heard the confusion and fear in his voice as he tried to understand why men in expensive suits were telling him his life was in danger. "Leah, what the hell is going on?" "It's Vincent," I said. "He found me. Found us." The silence on the other end stretched long enough that I thought we'd been disconnected. Then Danny's voice came back, quieter, more resigned. "I wondered when he'd come back around. Men like him always do. I'm sorry. I tried to keep you out of this. I know you did." His voice softened. "But we're family. Leah. Morrison blood. That means something, even when we wish it didn't." After we hung up, I found Marco in his office. He had multiple screens open. Surveillance feeds, financial records, documents I couldn't begin to decipher. A digital war being waged in real time. "What are you doing?" He didn't look up from the screens. "Dismantling Vincent's operation. One piece at a time." I moved closer. Watched data scroll past. Names, addresses, numbers that probably represented money or weapons or lives. "Shipments intercepted," Marco continued, his voice clinical. 3 of his warehouses raided by federal agents. Anonymous tips. Of course. Bank accounts frozen pending investigation. Business partners suddenly reconsidering their associations. "You're destroying him." "I'm protecting you." There's a difference, but I wasn't sure there was. Not really. Protection and destruction looked awfully similar when executed with this much precision. Over the next 48 hours, I watched Marco wage war from behind a desk and a phone. He barely slept. survived on coffee and the kind of cold fury that made even his own men keep their distance. I'd see him on calls at 3 in the morning, speaking Italian so rapid and harsh it sounded like weapons fire. The city noticed. How could it not? Police showed up at Marco's legitimate businesses, the restaurants, the real estate holdings, the construction companies that bore the Valentino name. They asked questions with cameras rolling, creating a spectacle designed to look like justice while accomplishing nothing of substance. The news ran stories, organized crime, power struggles, violence brewing beneath the surface of our supposedly civilized city, and then my face appeared. Not my name. They didn't have that yet. Just grainy surveillance footage showing me entering Marco's building, getting into his car, walking into the townhouse with Emma's hand in mine. An unnamed woman, believed to be at the center of escalating tensions between rival organized crime families. I became a ghost story, a catalyst, the woman who'd started a war by having a child. Emma saw it, not the news, I'd made sure of that, but she felt the change, the tension that crackled through the townhouse like electricity before a storm, Rose's increased vigilance, Marco's longer absences, my own fear, poorly disguised as maternal concern. Mommy, why are you sad? We were in her room, playing with dolls that cost more than my monthly rent used to be. She looked at me with those dark eyes, Marco's eyes, and I saw her trying to understand a world that had suddenly become incomprehensible. I'm not sad, baby, just tired. Rosa says tired and sad look different. You look sad. 4 years old and already too perceptive for her own good. Sometimes grown-ups have problems they need to solve, like puzzles, but harder. Is Marco helping solve the puzzle? The question landed in my chest like something heavy and warm. Yes, he's helping. Good. Emma returned to her dolls. Crisis apparently resolved. I like Marco. He looks scary, but he's not really scary. He's nice. Nice. The word felt absurdly inadequate for a man currently orchestrating the systematic destruction of a criminal empire. But I understood what Emma meant. She'd seen something in him that first day at the mall. Something I was only beginning to recognize myself. Beneath the violence and the power and the controlled fury, Marco was kind. To her. To me. In ways that suggested the capacity for kindness had survived whatever darkness his life required. That night, Marco's lawyer arrived. A woman named Christine Park. Sharp suit, sharper eyes, the kind of presence that commanded rooms without raising her voice. She spread documents across the dining table while Emma slept upstairs. The police are building a case, she said without preamble. Nothing solid yet, but they're trying. And they've gotten creative. She showed us the evidence. Financial records allegedly showing payments from my accounts to known Russo associates. Testimony from witnesses claiming I'd been passing information about Marco's operations to Vincent for years. Security footage, clearly manipulated but convincing to untrained eyes, showing me meeting with men I'd never seen before. It's all fabricated, I said. Obviously to us. Christine's expression was grim. But it'll take time to prove that. Months, maybe years. Time Vincent is betting you don't have. What are you saying? I'm saying they're going to arrest you, Leah. Charge you with conspiracy, racketeering, maybe more. They need a civilian to prosecute. Someone who makes this look like justice instead of gang warfare. You're perfect. The outsider, the woman, the mother. It plays well for cameras. The room tilted. I gripped the edge of the table. But I haven't done anything. Since when does that matter? Marco stood by the window, his back to us, every line of his body rigid with barely contained rage. There's another option, I said quietly. Both of them turned to look at me. I testify. I tell them everything about Vincent, about my father, about how this started. I give them the real story. That makes you a target forever, Marco said. His voice was ice. I'm already a target. Not like this, not officially, not with your name in court records and your face on every news channel. You testify, and Vincent will never stop coming for you, even from prison. Then what do you suggest? I stood, surprising myself with the steadiness in my voice. I hide. I run again. I let them arrest me for crimes I didn't commit while Vincent walks free. I suggest you let me handle this. By doing what? Killing him? Starting an actual war in the streets? The words hung between us, ugly and true. Christine cleared her throat. There might be a middle ground. If Leah cooperates with the investigation but doesn't testify publicly, gives them information that helps build a case against Vincent without putting herself in the spotlight, would that work? Maybe. If we're very careful, if we have leverage. Marco's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, went completely still. What? I asked. He showed me the screen, a message from the detective leading the investigation. Direct, informal. The kind of communication that suggested relationships beyond official channels. We need to talk, off the record. Tomorrow, 9 a.m., the usual place. She's offering a deal, Christine said, reading over my shoulder. Or a trap, Marco countered. Only one way to find out. The next morning, I sat across from Detective Sarah Chen in a coffee shop downtown. Public neutral. The kind of place where violence would draw too much attention. She was younger than I expected. Early 40s, maybe. Wedding ring. Tired eyes that suggested too many late nights and not enough solved cases. Ms. Morrison? Or do you prefer Carter? That's the name you've been using. Leah is fine. She stirred her coffee. Studied me with an expression I couldn't read. I've been doing this job for 18 years. Seen a lot of women get caught up in situations they didn't choose. You have that look, like you're drowning and pretending to swim. I'm not pretending anything. No, I don't think you are. Chen leaned forward, which is why I'm here. Off the record. Woman to woman. What do you want? I want Vincent Russo in prison. I want the Russo organization dismantled. I want this city to be safer for people like you and your daughter. People like me. Civilians. People who didn't choose this life but got dragged into it anyway. Her phone buzzed. She glanced at it. Her face went white. She turned the screen toward me. The message was simple, sent from an unknown number. If she testifies, the child dies. Choose wisely, detective. I felt everything inside me go cold. Not fear anymore. Something colder, harder. He just threatened my daughter, I said. My voice didn't sound like mine. Yes, Chen's jaw was tight, which means we have him on witness intimidation if we can trace the message. But more importantly, she met my eyes. It means he's scared. Desperate. Men like Vincent don't threaten children unless they're running out of options. What are you saying? I'm saying Marco's strategy is working. Vincent's operation is collapsing. He's making mistakes, getting sloppy. And when men like him get desperate, Chen paused, they become predictable. She slid a folder across the table. This is everything we have on Vincent. Everything we can prove. Everything we suspect. Take it to Marco. Between your testimony and his resources, we can end this. You're asking me to trust you? No, Chen's smile was sad. I'm asking you to trust yourself. You've survived Vincent once. You can do it again. But this time, you don't have to run. I took the folder. Walked out of that coffee shop with evidence that could destroy a man who'd haunted me for 10 years. And for the first time since that day in the mall, I felt something that wasn't fear. I felt powerful. I didn't tell Marco about the folder Detective Chen had given me, not right away. I spent that afternoon in Emma's room while she napped, reading through every page, police reports, witness statements, financial records that traced Vincent's operation back 15 years. Photographs of crime scenes I couldn't look at for long without feeling sick. And there, buried in the middle, a statement from my father, given 3 years ago, apparently in exchange for immunity on his own gambling charges, describing how he'd offered me to Vincent, how he'd known exactly what he was doing, how he'd chosen his debts over his daughter without hesitation. I read those words in my father's handwriting and felt something inside me break clean through. Not sadness, not even anger, just a cold, clarifying understanding that some betrayals were too fundamental to forgive. My phone rang. Danny's number. You okay? I answered. Define okay. His voice was strained. I'm in a mansion with armed guards. My sister's involved with a mob boss, and apparently our father sold you to another mob boss when you were 15. So yeah. Leah, I'm fantastic. Danny, don't. I know you were trying to protect me. You've always tried to protect me, but I'm not a kid anymore, and I'm tired of being kept in the dark. He was right. I'd spent so long trying to shield him that I'd forgotten he deserved the truth. Vincent Russo wants to use me to hurt Marco, I said, and he's willing to hurt anyone connected to me to make that happen. including you, including Emma. So what are you going to do? The question landed heavy, because I'd been asking myself the same thing for days. I'm going to stop him. How? I don't know yet, but I'm done running, done hiding, done letting men like him and our father decide what my life looks like. Danny was quiet for a moment. Then, that's the Leah I remember. The one who grabbed my hand and ran when I was 8 years old, who figured out how to survive when survival should have been impossible. I was terrified then. Yeah, but you did it anyway. After we hung up, I sat with the folder in my lap and thought about fear. How it had shaped every decision I'd made for 10 years. Running from Vincent, hiding Emma from Marco, building a life so small and contained that maybe, just maybe, I'd escape notice. But fear hadn't kept me safe. It had just made me smaller. I found Marco in his office that evening. He looked exhausted, shirt wrinkled, hair disheveled, shadows under his eyes that spoke of too many sleepless nights. "We need to talk," I said. He looked up from his laptop, saw something in my face that made him close it immediately. What happened? I placed the folder on his desk, told him about Detective Chen, about the meeting, about the message threatening Emma. Marco's face went through several expressions: surprise, anger, concern, and finally something that looked almost like respect. "You met with a police detective. Without telling me." "Yes. That was dangerous, Leah. Everything about this situation is dangerous. At least this way I'm making my own choices about it." He stood, walked around the desk, stopped in front of me with that intensity that made my breath catch. "What else?" "What do you mean?" "You have that look. The one you get when you've decided something and you're waiting to tell me." I met his eyes. Dark and searching and full of something I was afraid to name. "I'm going to Vincent. Tonight. Alone." "Absolutely not. It's not your decision. Like hell it isn't. He's threatened Emma. Threatened you. You think I'm going to let you walk into his territory alone? I'm not asking permission, Marco. I'm telling you what I'm doing." The air between us crackled. I saw him fighting the urge to simply forbid it, to lock me in this townhouse and handle everything himself. "Why?" His voice was controlled but barely. "Why would you do something so reckless?" "Because he expects you. He expects violence and retaliation and war. He doesn't expect me." I opened the folder, showed him the evidence Detective Chen had compiled. "This is everything the police have on him, everything they can prove, but they need more. They need someone willing to connect the dots, someone who knows his operation from the inside. You don't know his operation." "No, but I know him. I know how he thinks. I know what he wants." "What does he want?" "Control. Power. To win." I paused. "And me. He's always wanted me. Since I was 15. Since I ran. Since I became the one thing he couldn't have." Understanding dawned in Marco's eyes. "You're going to use that. I'm going to end this. On my terms. Not his. Not yours. Mine." Marco stared at me for a long moment. Then he did something that surprised me. He smiled. Not his dangerous smile. Something genuine and almost proud. "You're terrifying. You know that. I learned from the best." He pulled out his phone, made a call, spoke in rapid Italian. When he hung up, his expression was serious. "You're not going alone. I'll have men positioned around the meeting point, close enough to intervene if necessary, far enough away that Vincent won't see them." "Marco, that's non-negotiable. Leah, you want to do this your way? Fine, but I won't send you into danger without backup." I nodded. It was fair. More than fair, considering what I was asking. "There's something else," I said quietly. "Something I need to know before I do this." "What?" "Why me? 5 years ago. The Velvet Rose. You could have spent that night with anyone. Why did you choose me?" The question had been living in my chest since that first night, growing heavier with every day that passed. Marco's hand lifted, touched my face finally, the first real touch since that moment in his office days ago. His thumb brushed my cheekbone, gentle, reverent. "Because you looked at me like I was human. Not Valentino, not dangerous, not useful, just Marco, a man in a bar. You didn't want anything from me except conversation. Do you know how rare that is in my world? I wanted more than conversation. His smile turned warmer. So did I. And when you laughed, really laughed, at something stupid I said, I thought, there. That's what real sounds like. Real. Everything in my life is performance, Leah, strategy, calculated. But you, he leaned closer. You were chaos. Beautiful, unpredictable chaos. And I couldn't stay away. The kiss happened before I could think about it. His mouth on mine, soft and hungry and 5 years overdue. I tasted coffee and exhaustion and something that felt dangerously close to hope. When we pulled apart, both breathing hard, Marco pressed his forehead to mine. Come back to me, to us. Whatever you have to do tonight. Promise me you'll come back. I promise. The meeting point was a restaurant in neutral territory. Expensive, public. The kind of place where Vincent could pretend to be a legitimate businessman instead of a monster in tailored suits. I wore a dress I'd borrowed from Rosa's daughter. Simple, elegant, the kind of thing that suggested confidence I didn't entirely feel. My phone sat in my purse, recording. The small microphone Detective Chen had given me was pinned inside my bra, cold against my skin. Marco's men were positioned around the block. I couldn't see them, but I knew they were there, watching, waiting. Vincent sat in a private room when I arrived. Older than I remembered, silver at his temples, lines around his eyes that suggested years of cruel smiles. Leah Morrison, he said, standing like a gentleman. Or should I say Carter? You've collected quite a few names over the years. My name is Leah. Just Leah. I sat across from him, folded my hands on the table to keep them from shaking. You've grown up beautifully. Your father would be proud. My father is dead. Drank himself to death trying to pay off debts to men like you. Vincent's smile didn't waver. Men like me, Leah, I tried to save you. I offered protection, a future. You ran to a nightclub and a man who abandoned you. Marco didn't abandon me. I never told him I was pregnant. That's on me, not him. I pulled the flash drive from my purse, the one I'd loaded with copies of Detective Chen's files. Evidence that could bury him. This has everything. Proof that you've been manipulating evidence, threatening witnesses, framing me. Proof that you've been planning this war for years, waiting for the right leverage. Vincent's face hardened. You think I'm afraid of evidence? I've bought enough judges and cops to bury that 100 times over. I don't think you're afraid of evidence. I stood, looked down at him. This man who'd haunted my nightmares for a decade suddenly seemed smaller, older, mortal. I think you're afraid of irrelevance. Marco's operations are legitimate now. He's building something real, something that will outlast all of us. You're still playing old-world games while the world moves on without you. I walked toward the door, stopped, turned back. I'm not my father's daughter anymore. I'm not a scared girl running from you. I'm Emma's mother, and I will burn your entire empire down before I let you touch her. The words felt like armor, like power, like the person I'd been becoming finally stepping fully into the light. Vincent's voice followed me. You're brave, Leah. Foolish, but brave. I wonder if Marco will appreciate the gift you just gave me. I made it 3 blocks before the van pulled up. Before I could scream, hands grabbed me. A hood went over my head. Vincent's cologne filled my nostrils, expensive and cloying. Did you really think I'd let you walk away? His voice whispered in my ear. Marco took 5 years from me. Now I'm going to take everything from him, starting with you. I woke to the smell of rust and old concrete. My head pounded where it had connected with the van floor, hands zip-tied behind my back, ankles bound to a metal chair that had seen better decades. The warehouse looked exactly like every mob cliché I'd ever seen. Broken windows filtering gray morning light, oil stains on the concrete. The particular kind of emptiness that suggested bad things happened here regularly and nobody asked questions. Vincent sat across from me in a matching chair, patient as a spider. He'd removed his jacket, rolled his sleeves like we were about to have a business meeting instead of whatever this was. You're awake. Good. I was beginning to worry I'd hit you too hard. My mouth tasted like blood. I worked my tongue around, checking for loose teeth. Everything seemed intact. Marco will come for me. I'm counting on it. Vincent smiled. That's the entire point, Leah. You're the bait, he's the fish. And I'm very, very patient. He stood, walked around my chair. I felt his presence behind me like a physical weight. The question is whether he arrives before I've broken you completely or after. You won't break me. Everyone breaks eventually, sweetheart. It's just a matter of finding the right pressure point. He pulled out his phone, showed me the screen, a live feed of the townhouse, Emma playing in the backyard with Rosa, completely unaware that her mother was zip-tied in a warehouse across the city. My heart tried to climb out of my chest. Don't, I whispered. Please. She's 4 years old. I know exactly how old she is. I've been watching her for months. Sweet girl. Looks just like you. Vincent's voice was conversational, like we were discussing the weather. It would be a shame if something happened to her. The threat landed like a physical blow, but underneath the fear, something else ignited. Something cold and calculating that had been building since that first photo arrived. Since Vincent had dared to use my daughter as leverage. 5 years of single motherhood had taught me things Vincent couldn't imagine. How to function on no sleep, how to think 3 steps ahead, how to be smarter than I was strong, how to survive when survival should have been impossible. The phone in my boot, the one Marco had insisted I carry, the one Vincent's men had somehow missed in their hurried search, had been transmitting our location since the moment I was taken. I'd activated it the second those hands grabbed me, muscle memory from the dozens of times Marco had made me practice. And the flash drive I'd shown Vincent at the restaurant. Blank. Theater. The real evidence was already with Detective Chen, Marco's lawyers, and 3 major news outlets, set to release on a timer I'd started before walking into that meeting. Vincent had made one critical mistake. The same mistake men like him always made. He'd underestimated me. You know what's funny? I said, my voice steadier than I felt. What's that? You think you're in control here? That you're the spider and I'm the fly? But you're wrong. Vincent laughed. Actually laughed. Is that right? And what exactly are you going to do, Leah? You're tied to a chair. Alone. Helpless. I'm not alone. And I haven't been helpless for a very long time. The warehouse door exploded inward. Marco came through like vengeance personified. His men fanned out with military precision, not chaotic, not rushed, controlled, practiced, the kind of operation that spoke of planning and patience. But they weren't alone. FBI agents flooded in behind them, Detective Chen at the front, weapon drawn, calling out commands that echoed off the concrete walls. I was already on my feet. The zip ties cut by the razor blade I'd kept hidden in my sleeve. Another gift from Marco I'd thought was paranoid until exactly this moment. The knots at my ankles untied by fingers that had learned dexterity from 1,000 nights of opening child-proof medicine bottles in the dark. Vincent Russo, Detective Chen's voice rang out. You're under arrest for kidnapping, witness intimidation, racketeering, and about 30 other charges I'm going to enjoy reading to you. Vincent's face cycled through confusion, rage, and finally, almost beautifully, resignation. He looked at me, really looked at me, and I saw the moment he understood. You played me. No, I said, stepping away from the chair. I protected my family. There's a difference. FBI agents moved in, cuffed Vincent, read him his rights in voices that meant business, his empire crumbling in real time as more agents spread through the warehouse, documenting evidence, photographing everything. Marco reached me in 3 long strides, his hands on my face, my shoulders, checking for injuries with a franticness that contradicted his controlled entrance. Are you hurt? Did he touch you? I swear to God, Leah, I'm fine. I caught his hands, held them, I'm okay. You activated the tracker. The second they grabbed me, just like you taught me. Something in his face cracked, relief and pride and fear all mixing into an expression I'd never seen on him before. Vulnerable. Completely. Devastatingly human. You terrify me, he said quietly. You know that? Good. Someone should. Detective Chen approached, holstered her weapon, looked between us with an expression I couldn't quite read. Ms. Doppy Morrison, hell of a play you made there. Did it work? We've been building a case against Vincent for 3 years. What you gave us, the testimony, the evidence, the recorded confession from tonight, that's everything we needed. She paused. You just dismantled one of the oldest crime families on the East Coast. Not bad for a cocktail waitress. Former cocktail waitress, I corrected. Now I'm just a mom who's very protective of her daughter. Chen's smile was genuine. The best kind. Later, after statements were given and evidence was logged and Vincent was transported to a facility that would hold him until trial, Marco and I stood in the warehouse parking lot, dawn breaking pink and gold over the industrial district. "I've been working with Detective Chen for 3 weeks," I told him. "Since that first meeting at the coffee shop, every conversation with Vincent, every threat, every transaction, recorded, documented, building a case, you used yourself as bait. I used Vincent's obsession against him. There's a difference." Marco was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I'm not sure whether to be furious or impressed. You can be both." "I am both." He turned to face me fully. "You could have died tonight, Leah. If anything had gone wrong, if Vincent had hurt you before we got there. But he didn't. Because I was smart and careful, and because you taught me how to survive in your world. This isn't my world. Not anymore." The words hung between us, weighted with meaning I was afraid to examine too closely. "What are you saying?" "I'm saying Vincent's arrest changes everything. The Russo family is done. Their operations, their territory, their influence, all of it collapsing. Which means the war is over, Leah. Really over. And you?" Marco's hand found mine, threaded our fingers together in a way that felt inevitable and terrifying all at once. "I'm saying I have a choice now. Keep being the man I've always been, the underboss, the strategist, the one who solves problems with violence and intimidation, or become someone different, someone better, the father Emma deserves. The man you might," he paused, searching for words, "the man you might want around." My heart did something complicated in my chest. 5 years of careful distance. 5 years of telling myself that one night didn't mean anything. That Marco Valentino was dangerous and complicated and impossible. 5 years of being wrong. "I'm not asking you to love me," I said quietly. The words I'd been holding since that kiss in his office. "I'm not even asking you to be with me. But Emma deserves a father who shows up, who's present, who chooses her every single day. What if I want all of it?" The question landed like a confession. "What if I want to be Emma's father and you're—" He paused, searching. "Your partner. Not protector, not savior. Partner." The word felt revolutionary, rewriting every power dynamic that had defined our relationship from that first night at the Velvet Rose. "Partners," I repeated, testing the weight of it. Equal? Making decisions together? Building something real instead of just surviving? I thought about the past weeks, the fear and the danger and the constant uncertainty, but also Marco teaching me how to use the panic button, Rosa becoming Emma's favorite person, Danny safe in a house with people who protected him not because they had to, but because Marco had asked them to. The way Marco looked at Emma like she was something miraculous. The way he'd held me when I fell apart. The way he'd trusted me to walk into danger tonight because he understood that sometimes being protected meant being allowed to fight. "Okay," I said. "Okay. Partners. Equal. Building something real." Marco's smile transformed his face. Not the dangerous smile or the controlled smile. Something genuine and vulnerable and entirely his. He kissed me there in the parking lot with dawn breaking around us. Soft and deep and full of promises we'd figure out how to keep. "There's one condition," I said when we pulled apart. "What's that?" "You're the one who tells Emma that you're her father, that you're staying, that she doesn't have to wonder anymore where her daddy is." Marco's eyes went suspiciously bright. "Yeah, I can do that." We drove back to the townhouse as the city woke up around us. Emma was awake, having breakfast with Rosa, chattering about the pancakes shaped like butterflies. She saw us walk in, saw something in our faces, the exhaustion, the relief, the quiet joy. "Mommy, you're home." She launched herself at me. I caught her, held her tight against my chest, breathed in the scent of syrup and little girl shampoo and safety. "I'm home, baby, and I'm not going anywhere." Emma pulled back, looked at Marco with those serious dark eyes. "Are you staying too?" Marco crouched down to her level. This huge, dangerous man making himself small for my daughter. "If your mom says it's okay, I'd like to stay. For a very long time. Because you're my daddy." The word landed heavy. Marco's breath caught. Yes, because I'm your daddy. And I'm sorry it took me so long to find you. Emma considered this. Then, can you make pancakes into butterflies too? Marco laughed. Actually laughed. A sound I'd never heard from him before. Genuine and warm and absolutely delighted. I don't know, but I'll learn if you teach me. Okay, you can stay, just like that. 4 years old and deciding the future with the certainty only children possess. That afternoon, I stood in the townhouse kitchen while Emma showed Marco how to pour batter into butterfly shapes. Watched him follow her instructions with the same intensity he brought to everything. Watched my daughter, our daughter, boss around a former mob underboss like he was any other dad learning to make breakfast. Rosa caught my eye, smiled, mouthed the words, "You did good." Maybe I had. Maybe after 5 years of running and hiding and surviving, I'd finally done something more than just exist. I'd built something worth keeping, something real, something that looked like family. Outside, the city kept spinning. Vincent Russo was in custody. The Russo empire was crumbling. Detective Chen was probably drowning in paperwork and coffee. Danny was safe in a house across town, probably sleeping for the first time in weeks. And here, in this kitchen that still didn't quite feel like mine, my daughter taught her father how to make butterflies out of pancake batter while I watched and felt something that had been frozen for 5 years start to thaw. Not happily ever after. Nothing that simple. But maybe, just maybe, the beginning of something better. If you made it to the end of this story, let us know in the comments which city you're watching from, and click the yellow bell to subscribe to the channel and support us. Keep the adventure going by clicking on the suggested video on your screen.